Morning. My name is Desmond, and this morning I just want to share a message of a very familiar story, and it's based on the parable of the 5 bags of gold. Yes, this I drove from Matthew chapter 25, from verse 14 to 30. And walk with me as we go through this. And this story is one we all can relate with. And you know what it reminds me? It reminds me of those times when the boss is about to go away, maybe on leave or safari, or, the boss is just going to be away. And that's the big deal. And if you're like me, you'll be thinking woo 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 woo, and you're like, how long, boss? How long, boss? And maybe it's going like 2 weeks or sometimes 1 week, but it just don't matter. The big deal, the boss is gonna be away. And so now, when the boss is away, if you're like me, maybe just good student, you're like, this is the time I get to exercise that part on my CV that says works best under minimum supervision. Maybe you're thinking, hey, it's a holiday, freedom is coming, You're like a mandla, But that's a bit different for me. And that's the same story we read in Matthew chapter 25 from verse 14. And it says that the boss is going away on a long journey. And you know what the boss does every time he's going away? He'll call up his people, and it goes like, hey, I'm going away, and there's a few things I need you to keep in check, all right? Yes, and he calls one. And in the Bible, he says that there was one he called, and I think he gives him 5 bags of gold. And he tells him, hey, I want you to take charge of this. I want to ensure that, hey, go out there, invest it, make more of this. And then he calls another, and he gives them 2 bags of gold. So he's given one 5, and he's given 2, and then he gives the last one 1 bag of gold. And this looks like so familiar, because when the boss is away, who's going to be left in charge? It's normally quite a big thing, around with all this power play. Everybody wants to show who's in charge now. But the interesting thing I read from verse 15 of Matthew chapter 25, that each was given according to his ability. So one thing that I learned, that the bosses, they're not about to crush us. The people who put us in church, they're not about to crush us. And even our good Lord, who has made us a steward over the resources that he gives to us, he gives us each according to our own abilities. But here's the good part. So we're like, hey, boss, when are you going to be leaving? I'll be away from Monday. And they're like, did the boss say Monday is Monday? So for us, it's Friday. And they're like thinking, whoa, that time is about to come. And so we've got the weekend and then Monday. And so now everybody for himself. We've got to see what you've got to do. And so when I picture it, there's the man who had the 5 bags of gold. And I wonder, what was he doing? Maybe over that weekend he was just thinking, where am I going to put my money? It's interesting, the Bible says that at once that he went out there and put his money to work. So over the weekend he was thinking, am I going to put it in the stock exchange? Am I going to add, maybe he was from Central, he's thinking about, am I going to just buy another piece of land and sell it 5 times the amount, Or he's thinking, oh, what deal could I strike? And he was just spoiled for options. And that's the same story with the other man who had as well 2 bags of gold. So they're all thinking through. And so even maybe before Monday has come, they've already contacted a few people, and they know that, okay, fine, I'm just going to be doing the transfers on Monday morning, and just give me your bank details and give me all these other details. And then there's the other guy, the guy who was given 1 talent, just one bag of gold. And I'm just thinking right now, a bag of gold, it looks little compared to others, but it's a bag of gold. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's gold. It's gold. Yeah. So this man, he decides, this guy, why? What's the point? What's the point? I do all this, I earn him more, and then he just comes and takes it away. So he thinks about his strategic decisions and said, I think at best I'm going to hide it. So he's out there in the field and says like, let me hide it. Let me dig some hole and hide it in the field. Put it down there. But then, as you all know, this is the conversation in the office. Guys, when is the boss coming back again? Did he say he's coming back next Monday? Hey, guys, I'm told the boss has cut short his trip. Did you just say cut short his trip? That he's coming back sooner than he said? Yeah, the boss is coming back. And so everybody starts putting their stuff in order. The guy who was supposed to do all this kind of work, say if you're given 10 reports to do, you're like thinking, I've got to figure out how I'm going to do all these reports before the boss comes in. So finally, it's the next Monday and the boss is back in the office. And when the boss is back in the office, everybody, the previous time when the boss was away, and I'm sure there's some people who showed up maybe at 8:30, 9, 10, and ordinary reporting time is about 8. You know how people do it. Or some people even never showed up to work. Who's there? The boss is not there after all. So this time around, the boss, so everybody, 8 o'clock, everybody's on their seats and they're waiting for that moment. Mr. 5 bags of gold, could you please come to my office? And so the guy goes like, he's so delighted to get back. Hey, boss, you just gave me 5. And you know what? I immediately put it to work. And guess what? I have 5 more bags of gold. And so the master says, whoa. You have 5? And now you have 10? Wow. He says, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things, and I will put you in charge of many more things. Come and share in your master's happiness. And it's the same thing with the guy who had 2 bags of gold. He had gone out there and 2 more, all right? And so he's like, hey, master, I also got 2 more. And the master says, well done, good and faithful. And does it feel nice to just be told, good and faithful servant? It's an approval we all look for. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you now in charge of many more things. And then finally, you can imagine the guy with the 1 bag of gold. He's not even keen on, enthusiasm. Yeah, the boss is back. So, yeah. So finally, those are the guys who have to be called. Hey, Mr. 1 bag of gold. Come right in. And he comes, and this man has a speech. And he starts off, when you just not done what you're supposed to do, you know how you start. And this guy, it's interesting how he gets on. He tells the boss that, master, and that is in verse 24, he said that I knew that you are a hard man, harvesting where you have not sown, and gathering where you have not scattered seed. And this reminds me of our classic example. He said, hey, what's the point of doing these reports? Then after the boss takes all the credit. I even don't see my name. We're the ones who work around here, and then he gets the big bags. What's the point? Always harvesting where he did not sow. So what is the point? So in fact, I hid your money in the ground, and here it is. The boss goes like, what? You hid my money? I gave you a whole bag of gold and you go hide it? And if you knew I would harvest where I did not sow, why didn't you just even put my money in the bank? At least I would have gotten some interest, And the boss is so not amused right now. He's so angry at this man. And he said, you wicked and lazy servant. You wicked and lazy servant. And what I see here, that the boss expected him to take the 1 bag of gold and invest it and make the best out of it. Most of us are trapped saying that, hey, they don't pay me enough around here. So what's the point? You're saying like, hey, I can't start nothing. I've got only some little. I've got nothing. I've got almost nothing. There's no point of starting anything around here. And you're saying that I can't start no business, I can't, they've not given me, and it's a world full of excuses. And for those people who have, you feel like, hey, they're always taking away from those who even have. And that's the problem. And I'm just wondering, what if we say that, hey, I've got this little, what is the best that I could make out of it? And you know what the master does immediately? He take that 1 bag of gold and give it to the guy who has 10. And he says that, hey, that whoever has will be given even more, and they will have an abundance. And whoever does not have, even what they have will be taken away from them. And you're wondering why sometimes you're losing even the very little that you have. I want to challenge you today, friends. May we start being faithful with the little, that which the master has entrusted to us. The master steward has given to us. if it's 1 bag, if it's 2 bags, if you feel like it's 5 bags, that we will immediately put it to work and see what God can do. It reminds me of Jesus when he was out there, he's preaching, and there was the children, all the people who were there, the 5,000 people, and all they needed was to get someone who had 5 loaves and 2 fish, and it was enough to feed the multitudes. And the little we have is abundant if we put it in the Master's hands. What if we all went out there and put to work the little that the Master has given us? What if the little that we had we were able to see the full end of it as it draws even the fullness of that which we are able to attract when we are faithful? I challenge you as you go back to your jobs. I challenge you as you go into your families. I challenge you as you go back to your business. Ask God, what can I do with the little that I have? And so it is not so much about what you have or what you don't have.